In order to answer this question, is the Sabbath still something that we are needing to follow and to obey today? We should start by looking at some New Testament verses for the answer to that question. The first one is in Mark chapter 2, verse 28. Therefore the Son of Man is the Lord also of the Sabbath. This verse not only is stating that Jesus is important and that he is Lord, but interestingly, another thing is mentioned. Jesus is Lord of the Sabbath. It is important to notice the exact wording of this verse. It doesn't say that he is the only Lord on the Sabbath. It doesn't say that he is Lord of every day, but Jesus is the Lord of the Sabbath. In a casual reading of this verse, it is easy to gather that he is Lord also of the Sabbath. Reading just a little bit more between the lines, we can infer that when it comes to Jesus being Lord, it doesn't matter what day that it might be. He is still going to be Lord no matter what day it might be or might not be. Throughout the Old Testament, they were trying to add all sorts of stipulations and exact actions to define what exactly no work on the Sabbath meant. Due to all of that, whenever Jesus came to earth, the Pharisees tried to test Jesus to see what he would do and what he would say about it. We can see them start to question him in verses like Luke chapter 14, verse 3, in which it says, And Jesus answered, spake unto the lawyers and the Pharisees, saying, Is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath day? What they were trying to do here was to figure out whether Jesus was going to say that it was okay to heal someone or not on the Sabbath. However, in the verse that we really want to notice is a couple of verses later, over in Luke chapter 14, verse 5, where it says, Then he asked them, If one of you has a child or an ox that falls into a well on the Sabbath day, will you not immediately pull it out? Jesus' answer was proposing this question back to them to get them to think, what was the true meaning of the Sabbath? The Sabbath was something that was supposed to be done in honor to God. However, it was turning into more of how little can we do in order to follow this commandment. When this commandment was put into place in Exodus chapter 20, it wasn't made to be a trick question to see who might try and to do work on this Sabbath. No. Instead, the true purpose of establishing this commandment was originally to show honor and dedication to God, which is why we can find in the New Testament all these examples of Jesus trying to get them to think and to reconsider how they were observing this Sabbath day. In Matthew chapter 12, verses 12, it says, How much then is a man better than a sheep? Wherefore it is lawful to do well on the Sabbath days. The reason that Jesus was using questions like this was to get them thinking, if you could save someone, wouldn't you just save them? No matter what day of the week it might be. The same logic then could be applied to animals and other things, but specifically was done to sheep in this verse. Which is why Jesus is wording this question to them like this. They were getting into the rules part of this commandment and forgetting what it actually was about. This is why it talks about what is lawful to do well on the Sabbath days. In the New Testament, we can see that instead of focusing on building rules regarding the Sabbath, we instead start to see that we need to be focusing on the true meaning of it, which is the dedication towards God. So whenever we look into this section's question, is the Sabbath commandment that we can find in Exodus still important today? The actual commandment of honoring the Sabbath Jesus removed from the new law, meaning that the actual Sabbath day is no longer binding to us under the New Testament. However, the idea behind the commandment of honoring God is still very important. It is something that is still stressed many times and is something that we are obviously supposed to be doing.